You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of truth, a dimension of freedom, a dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the Capitalist Corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the Capitalist Corner.
That's right, folks. We are your island of reason in a sea of insanity. Welcome to the Capitalist Corner. I am your host, Mark Pellegrino, and also the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with my co-host and vice chair, Michael Liebowitz. We will be celebrating our first national convention in September 19th through the 20th. All the details on that are available at our website, so please go there and check it out. Please become a part of the change. Participate in this amazing convention. It'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Believe it or not, an amazing city. I've done a show there for a couple of years. It's a great place. And maybe you could take a couple of days of vacay and help us vote on policies that we hope to get confirmed into legislature in various states, starting with Alabama. Michael, tell us what's going on with our channel, mostly yours, I have to say, because you've been working so hard, the Rational Alternative.
Okay, so I'm going to be, I said I was doing away with, for the time being, the criminal justice show. I'm also going to take a hiatus from everyday ethics. I don't anticipate it being forever. I just want to get things situated properly, and that entails me having to learn some stuff. And if I'm just doing show on top of show, I can't learn it. So I'm going to take a little bit of time. I don't know how long. But this Sunday, we will be doing a live stream. Well, I'll be doing it for the members only. So that should be fun. Q&A, plus I intend on bringing a topic, so it should be fun for members only now, for the Rational Alternative channel. And later today, I'll be releasing, I had a fun conversation with a young man discussing ethics. I wouldn't call it really a debate, but kind of, but not really. But I'll be releasing that sometime this afternoon on the Rational Egoist. And other than that, man, we're just going to keep rocking and rolling.
Yay for the Capitalist Corner, folks. Look, we of course, as we stipulate, don't necessarily represent the views of the Capitalist Party. If you want to know what those views are, please go to AmericanCapitalistParty.org. Check out the policies. We'll be adding some new stuff soon, and we will be voting on policies at the National Convention. So if you show up, you get an opportunity to vote on this stuff. And to make your voice heard in the crazy duopoly out there. We need alternatives, and the capitalist American Capitalist Party is the rational alternative. Michael, do you want to go? I know it says up here in the header that it's free markets, pollution, Gouverneur Morris, and more, but should we do Iran? I mean, should we do that first?
Yeah, I didn't want to include it in the title. I'm just so sick of it, but you got to talk about it because it's current events, but I'm really just, enough is enough.
I've got, that radio fatigue with this. It's just, we're being bombarded with stupid on a daily basis, and conservative news outlets like Fox, Michael, are just spinning this ridiculous memorandum of understanding as if it is an evolution from previous agreements with Iran, as if this is some kind of 4D chess that's going to actually isolate Iran and make it more prosperous and be in the interests of the American people. None of the above is going to happen with this. In addition to tying Israel and its campaign in Lebanon to a peace, it's just simply not going to happen. But let's get into the weeds a little bit about this, because it's driving me absolutely freaking crazy.
Well, Bloomberg has the, I guess it's a leaked version, or the leaked version of the Memorandum of Understanding. If it's accurate, and I have no reason to doubt it, I mean, the problem is, of course, still Trump's not releasing it, which kind of tells you what kind of crap sandwich this thing is, right? But let's see. Let me go. I'll find it here.
Let's go. I have it right here. Let's go point by freaking point, okay? Because there's some contradictions in here, Michael, that really, I think, leave America in a worse position than it was before, and it gives all the leverage to Iran still. Now, Michael, this is amazing to me because America is the premier superpower, military superpower in the world. We could crush these idiots in a day and a half, literally. I mean, we could. and we refuse to. And it just highlights Rand's conception even more. I'm exaggerating, but it highlights Rand's conception even more, that the evil continues to exist by sanction of the good.
Before we do that, I just want to read some recent quotes from the Donald. Can I do that real quickly here?
Will they be comprehensible?
Yes. The current Iranian leadership are very rational people. They are nice to deal with. They are strong and smart people. They are not radicalized, and they are looking to help their country.
My God. Okay, let's just put this into perspective, because the IRGC still has control, political and economic control over Iran. They are composed of hardliners. The Republican Guard was composed of hardliners whose sole mission on earth is to defend the regime against everything else. And what is the regime? A Shiite Muslim a group of fanatics who have an apocalyptic vision of the world and of world conquest. That is exactly what their perspective is. That hasn't changed. No. Despite the fact that leadership is overturned physically, the ideological elements are still the same. And Michael, if you call they have the interest of the people in mind, did that include the 40,000 that the Basij and the RGC murdered while they were protesting the government? Okay.
No. Okay. So Trump also says this. Now, he did say that we're going to go in and get the enriched material, but you could make the case, why even bother? It's not very valuable stuff. Which is setting the stage, right?
Yes, exactly. He's setting the stage for a taco Trump, for not going in there and actually removing 900 pounds of fissile material. Michael, that's 10 atomic bombs worth of fissile material that is literally a short step away from being weapons grade.
Okay, now the final quote, and then we can get to the deal. This refers to why we signed the deal. The alternative to this deal was a global recession. There are stupid people who want to see a global recession. They are just stupid people. The Strait of Hormuz would never have been opened. Okay. Hasn't he been saying the strait is already open?
He's not only said the strait is open, he said that Iran is incapable of closing the straits. He said the straits don't really matter that much. I mean, he said 15 different things. Whatever happens to appeal to his impulse of the moment, Michael, there's no long-term vision here. Yeah. It's like whatever concept, and I use that term loosely, pops into his head at the moment that he's having the interview is what he says. And that becomes policy for the next 5 minutes, but nobody can be assured that it'll go longer than that. So here is the text of the 14-point draft memorandum as seen by Bloomberg News. I'm gonna just go down the list and read it verbatim. I want everybody to hear the terms that this 4D negotiator has foisted upon America. Michael, not even allowing...
Well, hold on. I just want to say one more thing. So, hi, Teresa. Trump says as he continues his throwing Israel under the bus, without the U.S., there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel because no other president was willing to do what I did. I have had a great relationship with Bibi. Now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon.
Yeah, in other words, show your fidelity to me, not to the Israeli people who are immediately threatened by the terrorists just over the northern border. I mean, this guy is pathologically fucked up, Michael. It is, if it's not apparent to MAGA people, it's right now, it's never going to be. So let's go through these points, man, because they're driving me insane. Number one, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States together with their allies in the current war. Of course, this is including Hezbollah and Israel, who are not parties to this agreement at all. Declare upon signing the Memorandum of Understanding an immediate and permanent end to the war on all fronts, including Lebanon. Of course, this is illegitimate because Israel is not involved in this agreement. And undertake that from now on, they will not launch any hostile action against each other and will refrain from the threat or use of force against each other. The final agreement, which is in 60 days from now, right? After the signing, the final they have like a 60-day window to come upon some agreement that they're supposed to sign definitively. The agreement will confirm the provisions of the articles and the meaning of the articles, none of which has been submitted to the Senate, I might add, which is supposed to confirm these things. He's trying to do an end run around the Constitution again, Michael. For any constitutional conservatives out there who are now MAGA people and freaking making a justification for this guy, he's trying to get this thing ratified in the UN through the Security Council and doing an end run around the Senate, which of course means it has no force of law in the United States of America.
Well, they do have an agreement to have an agreement, though.
Okay, so that's what this is. This is an agreement to have an agreement. But what happens, Michael? Before they even get to actually discussing the particulars, America has to stop its war effort, and so does Israel. So right now, we have all the leverage in Iran's favor right now. We stop hostilities, and they don't have to do anything yet, except agree to negotiate.
Look, an immediate and permanent end to the war on all fronts. An immediate and permanent.
Yeah. Lame. So that's number one. Number two, Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States undertake to respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity and to refrain from interfering in each other's internal affairs. First of all, Michael, I have an issue with the concept of sovereignty of a state that does not respect the sovereignty of his own citizens. I don't think criminal cabals should be recognized by the international community as having sovereignty since their governments are illegitimate. And this is a country that has not respected the sovereignty of any state, including Lebanon. It has a proxy. It has a proxy state living in the south of Lebanon right now with its own government, its own army that Lebanon cannot contest.
Right. And as we go through this, by the way, we will see. Now, remember, so I'm going to just put it out there, some of the things that aren't in there, and as we go through, we'll see it. One of the things I've always heard for why we have to take out Iran is they're the number one state supporter of terror, right? There's nothing in this agreement that says they have to stop doing that. Nothing. There's also nothing in here about their ballistic missile program. Not a thing, not a word.
Oh, lovely. But these are all implied, of course, as J.D. Vance has said in multiple interviews, that all of this aid that's going to come, well, I'll show you. I don't mean to pop in front of the end. I don't want to do that, but we'll get to that in a second. Number three, Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States undertake to negotiate and reach a final agreement within a maximum period of 60 days, extendable by mutual consent, of course. So now we have the never-ending 60-day negotiations that will go on and on and on and on. And of course, Hezbollah is going to break the ceasefire, and Israel's going to have to retaliate. And of course, they will still fire on ships in the Straits of Hormuz. They'll do whatever, or they'll fire in Qatar. They'll do whatever they want. Although the Arab states are now circling the wagons, they see the writing on the wall. They're circling the wagons around, a potential alliance with Iran. Iran has successfully turned an alliance of Arab states with Israel and the United States against the hegemony of Iran into now Iran dictating the terms of everything that goes on in the Middle East. So if anything, Trump has gone from isolating Iran as a power and a pariah state to now making them a major player and ally with the Arabs, who see that Trump has no willingness to see this to the conclusion and that they are going to be paying the collateral costs. Because every time the America does something, it's going to be the UAE, it's going to be Qatar, it's going to be all these other places that are going to get ballistic missiles thrown at their energy sites, and they don't want that.
You know what the 60 days reminds me of in a way is the debt ceiling, right? Yeah. We set the debt ceiling, but then we agree to raise the debt ceiling. So we're going to have 60 days, but we can agree to go more than 60 days if we want, so the 60 days really means
it's
nothing.
Meaningless. It's meaningless. Right. And Jeanette says Vance is an idiot. The only good thing to come out of this, Michael, is that both Trump and Vance are killing their political capital as a result of this.
I was just thinking that. that Vance, but what's the alternative? We going to get Rubio?
Yeah. I mean, that's the alternative. Rubio, who is conspicuously absent from all these negotiations, which, Michael, that makes me feel like he's playing that unprincipled middle, or doesn't have the balls to fucking resign, which I think a man of integrity would do. But he also doesn't want to lend his name and support and or anything associated with him to this agreement. So he's handing it off to Vance, who's willing to sacrifice his political capital because he, like Trump, can't see, beyond the edges of their nose of the midterm elections. So it feels like Rubio is doing the politically expedient thing. But you know what? In many ways, he's coming off as the only guy with brains in the room, but he's still associated with the Titanic to me with no life jacket. So we'll see how that goes. Number 4, immediately upon signing of this memorandum of understanding, how long has this term been in use, Michael? This memorandum of understanding.
All of a sudden, it's very popular. I never heard it before.
Right?
Never.
Yeah. In lieu of a treaty.
It's not a treaty. It's a memorandum of understanding, as if this term has just been in use all the time. Maybe someone heard it. I never have. But anyways, I digress.
So immediately upon the signing of this, the United States will lift naval blockade and prevent any interference or obstruction against Islamic Republic of Iran. Meanwhile, Iran doesn't have to do anything. They've only signed.
But let me ask you a question, Mark. That struck me. Does that mean that the United States is now responsible for the security of Iran in the Strait of Hormuz? That's what it sounds like.
Yes, that's exactly what it sounds like. So it's that we've gone from blockading a pariah criminal state to now helping them in their trade. And still the Iranians have only agreed to discuss things over a period of 60 days, which could be renewed.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so automatically their economy gets to open up, and they still haven't agreed to anything except to talk. Okay, so they've to restore traffic. Now listen to this, Michael. To restore traffic within a maximum of 30 days to its full capacity, the traffic of ships shall be proportional to pre-war volume of traffic on the part of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The United States also undertakes to withdraw its forces from the surrounding areas within 30 days after the final agreement. So still, Iran is getting all the economic benefits and the protections now of the United States government without agreeing to anything but a 60-day period of talking about particular conditions, and that will potentially be renewed every 60 days, which I envision it will be, because this is just the way they've rolled for the last 50 or 60 years. They don't argue in good faith. They don't make agreements in good faith. They only pause the war long enough to regroup and continue upon the apocalyptic path that they are on. Number 5, upon signing this memorandum of understanding, the Islamic Republic of Iran will immediately take steps to ensure that the movement of merchant ships from the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman and vice versa is resumed within 30 days to the pre-war volume, taking into account the need for removal of technical obstacles and the neutralization of mines by Iran. Again, they have a 30-day window, and even the removal of all this ordnance, Michael, could take much longer. Yeah. We don't know.
So up until this point now, right, we are through, this is point 5. What has Iran lost up until this point? Like, what did they concede in this negotiation?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet, right? Okay.
America has made all the concessions. Hey, this is the negotiator in chief, man. The guy who can make deals. Yeah, can make deals better than anybody on the planet. So far, we're on point 5 of a 14-point presentation, and America has conceded everything.
Yes.
Iran has conceded nothing. And so far, they gain everything. Number 6, the United States undertakes, together with its regional partners, to create a comprehensive plan agreed upon by both parties for the rehabilitation, Michael, and economic development of the Islamic Republic of Iran, while ensuring financing of at least $300 billion. The implementation and mechanism of this plan as part of the final agreement will be formulated within 60 days. So now we're now strapped with...
Who is Red Bar? Hold on. Who is Red Bar? What is Red Bar?
What do you mean?
Somebody says that Red Bar is investigating us both, you and me. Who the hell's Red Bar?
I don't know. Is it some commie organization?
I don't know what it is. Okay.
Cons Mills, tell us who Red Bar is.
Yeah. All right.
It's probably a commie organization. They love to find things on people and smear them, because that's the only thing they can do, Michael. They can't come up with coherent policies that actually help people, but they can destroy things. They can break things. So anyway, what we have here so far now is a further concession on the part of the United States. The concession is that we will now rehabilitate the economy. with a set aside fund of $300 billion, which the Trump administration says is going to be funded by private industry. But given the fact that he's tried to do this with his peace board at Gaza, where he got pledged hundreds of billions of dollars that so far are not in the accounts of the peace board at all. A peace board, I might add, that's occupied by the likes of Belarus and Russia. I doubt that any businesses would invest capital in a place like the Islamic Republic of Iran, Michael. Given the regime's history, that would be a very bad bet. So how he plans to actually pay for this is probably, to place the burden upon the American taxpayer to borrow or print money, which still will place burdens on us down the line. This is horrible. So far, we've gained nothing. We've lost $300 billion. We've agreed to recoup their economy, to open trade, and to make them stronger. They haven't agreed to anything yet. We're on 0.7. The United States commits to ending on a schedule to be agreed upon as part of the final agreement all types of sanctions currently facing the Islamic Republic of Iran, including resolutions of the United Nations Security Council and the Board of Governors of the International Atomic Energy Commission, and all unilateral U.S. sanctions, primary and secondary. Okay, so we have to give up that. Whatever economic leverage we had over them, we have to give up that. So that's another concession, Michael. We're on 0.8. We haven't received anything. The Islamic Republic of Iran reiterates that it will never produce nuclear weapons. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States have agreed that the fate of enriched material and the fate of all other mutually agreed nuclear-related issues, including Iran's nuclear needs, will be adequately addressed in the final agreement. The final agreement will confirm the provisions of this article. Again, they said for decades that they weren't pursuing a nuclear program.
Right, so what different? The issue, look, if you don't believe them, then the fact that they say it now means nothing. And if you do believe them, it's nothing new. So I like, it's ridiculous. And I like this line, but I don't really like it. You know what I mean? The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States have agreed that the fate of enriched material and the fate of all other mutually agreed nuclear-related issues, including Iran's nuclear needs.
So
they will be allowed to enrich to the same. Oh, this is what's coming. They're going to be allowed to enrich the same way they were under the JCPOA.
Yeah. So apparently, Michael, if you have these centrifuges and you're allowed to enrich to the 3% that you need for commercial uses, you have all of the capability to enrich to military grade uranium. And there's really no way that they're going to be able to enforce this, just like there was no real enforcement mechanism before. The Iranians will deny anything they agree to. They're going to deny those propositions when push comes to shove. The Trump could talk shit and Vance could talk shit that they're going to put in these ironclad rules. That's what every administration has said in the past, and every time the Iranians have broken those rules. It's what they do. What is this red bar? What is this?
It's a TV show, or it's a radio show. It's a comedy something. I don't know.
Oh, so it's not a commie thing.
No, I have. I think the guy. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I don't know what he could have told us what he meant. I don't know what he meant. So
these guys don't deserve to be put on fool's notice. What is that? So these guys, who knows what they are? Somebody tell us in detail what these.
I think that's a shot. I think Captain Chandler's taking a shot at you and me. We don't deserve to be on this other show, but I don't know. Maybe we don't. I don't.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Whatever that means. Number 9, folks. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States agree that pending a final agreement, they will maintain the status quo. Iran will maintain the status quo on nuclear program. Okay. All of that means nothing has changed, of course. The United States will not impose new sanctions on Iran or strengthen its forces in the region. So far, Iran is holding all the cards. We're in 0.9. The United States has gained nothing. Number 10. The United States undertakes that immediately after the signing of this memorandum of understanding and until the date of the lifting of sanctions, the United States Treasury Department will issue waivers for exports of Iranian crude oil, petrochemical products, and other derivatives, and all related services, including banking, insurance, transportation, and the like. Okay, so apparently, again, they're going to get all their economic ducks in a row. America is conceding everything. So far, we're on point 10. I see no point at which America is gaining anything yet. Let's see if this changes. The United States undertakes that in light of the progress of negotiations towards a final agreement, frozen or restricted funds and assets of Islamic Republic of Iran will be released and made fully available. Now, accordingly, this is contingent upon negotiations and on the actions of the Islamic regime, but we'll see. Trump has caved on everything previous. We'll see if he releases these funds anyway as an inducement to get them to follow the agreements. That is just as likely as them waiting to see how the behavior of the Iranians transpires. These funds, whether held in the master account or transferred, will be used for any final beneficiary payment determined by the Central Bank of the Islamic Republic in Iran and will be fully available for use. The United States undertakes to issue all necessary permits and licenses on this basis, again, unfreezing their assets, allowing them to have more economic freedom, more funds at their beck and call, to resume their ballistic missile programs, to resume their Islamic jihad in Lebanon, which is what they've done in the past. So far, we're on point 11 and have not come up with any single thing yet that benefits the United States. Point 12. The Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States agree that an implementation of a mechanism will be established to oversee the successful implementation of and future commitment to the final agreement. We've seen how well those boards work the past, Michael.
Yeah, so, I want to say a couple things. First of all, how long ago was it when Trump said, tonight they're going to be obliterated? That's it. We're not playing games anymore. We're wiping them out. And then he said, okay, I'm going to give them 48 hours. Okay, we're going to give them 5 days. Donald Trump is a joke. And I hope people wake up to this. It seems some people are online acknowledging that this is terrible. If this is the deal, it should be noted, this is what Bloomberg says is the deal. I have no reason to doubt it, but that should say that. My friend Brent sent me an email this morning about this, Mark, and he referenced the Gaza, what is it? Safety board, peace board, I don't know, whatever they did. And of course it did nothing, right? Of course it accomplished nothing. But who's talking about it now? Everybody moves on. And Trump is probably betting, and he might be right, that, 2-3 weeks from now, the world will be on to something else. And that's it. And they're going to forget the surrender, forget all this bullshit. That's what's coming. That was Brent's thought, and I think he's probably correct.
I agree. 13, following the signing of this memorandum of understanding and upon receipt of assurances regarding the commencement of implementation of Articles 4, 5, and 10, and of 11 of this memorandum of understanding and continued implementation of these steps, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States will enter into negotiations for a final agreement solely with respect to the remaining articles. Okay, so it's contingent upon, many of the other concessions that the United States has made to Iran, and the final agreement will be approved through binding resolution of the UN. How about through Senate approval? How about that? I would, that's once again being overlooked in this process, Michael. So we gained nothing. We gave everything to Iran. This is the negotiator in chief who's supposed to be playing 4D chess with the world's leaders, and it looks like he's just been trounced by a group of Islamicist radicals, Michael. What say you?
I think that this war was a disaster. I think it was unconstitutional from the start. I think that it was waged by an unprincipled, narcissistic moron. I think that it went horribly. And I think that the ending is absolutely horrible. And anybody that thinks that this is a deterrent to hostile regimes, get your heads examined. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, look, China and Russia were watching this. I think we had them on pins and needles after Venezuela and at the beginning of this at this fight, and even during the 12-day a war with Iran that was spearheaded by Israel. We walked through their air defenses like it was nothing. I think they were nervous, but now they see that we have no political will, that Trump his impetuousness wins out over reason and policies, that he's more concerned about being the star of the show than he is about doing the right thing, or even, looking after his constitutional responsibilities as chief executive. And they see this as a fundamental weakness, Michael. And I think they're going to take advantage of this. Why not?
The thing is, Mark, right, that as we talk about it, and we make fun of Trump and a lot of the things that he says and does, it's comical to an extent. But at the end of the day, this is serious, right? It's serious stuff. We have a man-child running this country that has millions and millions and millions of devoted followers who think he's something that he is not.
Yes.
Right? This guy blatantly violated the Constitution, and people defended it. Some of them defended it with the idea of the War Powers Resolution, which he also violated. Aside from that, we have all these threats he made that he didn't follow through on, which just makes him look like an asshole, and by proxy makes us all look like assholes. Now, my position in regard to foreign aid, we don't give foreign aid to anybody. His position isn't to do that. It's just to throw our ally right under the bus. Also, during this thing, he was threatening and yelling about, our European allies. So further and further, the United States is coming to be looked at as a joke around this world. And if you think that dropping bombs, it does make him look erratic, yeah, but it doesn't make us look strong. It doesn't make us look smart. And it sure as hell doesn't make us look trustworthy or credible.
Okay, so Red Bar, this is something I just looked up Red Bar myself, as a matter of fact. Red Bar is a show that takes down both left and right wing fools. I was just messing with y'all. I'm closer to a social democrat than anything, but I'm agreeing with a lot of what y'all are saying. Cool. Welcome to the fold, my friend. Michael, speaking of politics and left and right, you hear a lot, especially on social media. A lot of socialists, as a matter of fact, and communists who are trying to revise the history of socialism, rewrite the history of communism, claim that, it's free markets that cause, environmental deterioration, resource depletion, and they try to point out the early years of the Industrial Revolution. Of course, a lot of this case is made by pictures because, getting out of poverty is super ugly. It's not pretty. And so they use those pictures to, get people emotionalized around how dirty it is to industrialize. It fails to take into account lots of things that happen once a country becomes rich through liberalized economic policies, which in the end makes them far cleaner environmentally, far more resource conservative than socialized, centralized economies go. Let's talk about that a little bit, Michael, because I agree with this premise. I think Julian Simon thought that, and I think it bears itself out in real life.
Okay, so there's an article in the American Institute for Economic Research by Vincent Geloso. I've interviewed him, smart guy, economist, and he's done a study that has shown that the more liberalized countries actually have less pollution when there's institutions in place, like, for instance, you got to have private property protections, courts of law have to be, adequate. And there's this thing called the environmental Kuznets curve, named after Kuznets, but in essence, what the argument is that when people become wealthier, they want to take care of their own property. They become more conscientious. They're able to do things, and so the environment gets better. Importantly, we should say that the article doesn't really get too deep into the difference that I didn't know about until today. Local pollution and basically global pollution, I guess, for lack of a better term. So while local pollution does go down in terms of things like smog and water gets cleaner, air quality is better, this article didn't definitively address the problem of CO2. That's less clear in terms of liberalized economies, whether they actually help to fight the release of CO2. But I'll throw this in that, Alex Epstein has actually said that the fossil fuels benefit us so much that they dwarf any harms caused by CO2 emissions.
Yeah, but that's holding a human thriving premise as the goal of environmental policy, as opposed to zero emissions, or untouched nature, which was, I think, the metric by which environmentalists measured success of their policies was how much raw nature can we have, how much can we deprive humans of access to this resource, and they gauged their success based on that. Whereas a guy like Alex Epstein will look at fossil fuel use and see the tremendous growth in life expectancy and technology that improves buildings and protects people from environmental disasters, so that now, exponentially less people die in environmental disasters than died in the early 1900s and late 1800s, prior to the onset of the Industrial Revolution. So when you hold a human thriving premise as your basic moral guide to environmental policy, fossil fuels have been a boon to humankind, for sure. And the great thing is the fossil fuels beget wealth, which in turn begets innovation, which in turn begets looking for other sources of energy, not energy sources forced upon us by the government, but energy for which there is a real market for. And I think turning towards nuclear right now, as many people who were in the environmental movement are starting to understand, is a very positive move. That is probably going to be the wave of the future, and fossils will be out. And then look, we save that resource forever and ever and ever and ever for something that is renewable and almost eternal, and that's nuclear energy. So, getting out of poverty is ugly. It's hard. It involves things that, to the 21st century mind, as we sit in the comforts of a post-industrial world in a service-centered economy, we would find hard to take. But at the time, the people that were involved in those incredibly revolutionizing events saw those as the better alternatives for the time. So as ugly as we think the economic outlook seemed in the late 19th and early 20th century, and as miserable as the conditions are for us presently today, it was certainly a stage that we had to go through before we could eliminate all that stuff. You have to be rich, folks, in order for there not to be sweatshops. You have to be rich in order to reforest your lands. You have to be rich in order to come up with the new technologies that can cut down pollution on a long-term goal. That's what you need. You need wealth. And the only system that really generates wealth like that, Michael, is a capitalist system. And what is a capitalist system but a system where individuals are free to build, associate, and exchange with one another? All right? It's the banning of force in social relationships. Do you have anything to add, Michael?
No, I think that was great. Let me tell you at least what I heard of it. And I don't know what you said while I was gone. For all I know, you were making fun of me and I just agreed to it. But you know how many chapsticks I've lost in my life?
I don't know, but before you tell me about that, I think James Valiant made a great point. Pre-industrial poverty was even uglier. That's true, and that's why I said the people who are urbanizing and going into these conditions voluntarily that we consider horrible today were faced with the alternative of something worse, and that's why they went into the situations that they went into.
Speaking of Jim Valiant, Mr. Pellegrino's not going to be here tomorrow, Jim. If you're able, I would really appreciate some help. Otherwise, I'm on my own again. But yeah, last night I left a chapstick at Diana's house. So I went and bought, well, first of all, CVS doesn't sell chapstick anymore, my local CVS.
Why?
I don't know. So I had to get these Burt's Bees things. And I already lost one of them, and now I'm down to my last one. I wish I could have all the chapsticks I've lost in my life and have them gathered in one place. That would be funny to see.
Hey, Michael, do you think we need legislation to fight data centers?
No, I do not.
Nor do I. But Cons Mills, if you can justify that, please do in the chat. That would be great. Michael, yeah, I think liberty begets conservationism. It simply does. Property rights beget conservationism, and I think they internalize costs for companies, and they also make them directly responsible for the state of the environment, and as opposed to diffusing costs and diffusing responsibility across bureaucracies, where nobody gets fired for bad policy, or nobody gets fired for eco disasters, and no company necessarily gets sued. I prefer private property and protections over centralized bureaucracies, Michael. I think that watches over our safety and rights far better than anything else. You want to get to Gouverneur Morris or what?
I would love to, but it just occurred to me that we forgot to mention the super chats and super stickers at the beginning of the show, which is probably why there's such a dearth of them today.
Yes, please remember, super chats and super stickers are great. It's a tongue twister, but
sats and chickers. We need sats and chickers.
Yeah, please, if you have questions, please put a super chat in there. So Captain Chandler says, if you're watching Red Bar for politics, you're doing it wrong. He's good at psychologizing. I'm not a fan of psychologizing. I don't think that necessarily gets you anywhere.
No.
And the organization, not the organization of people's. Now, Captain Chandler and Con Mills, I think you guys both watch this Red Bar. Should I watch it? Do you suggest that I watch it? Is it a good enough show?
I think you've got enough on your plate without trying to get you to watch something else.
That could be true, but I want to hear from these guys what they think. So,
speaking of hearing from guys, so I get a call yesterday from an old friend of mine. He says, "Hey, dude," he said, "my son and his friends are here." He said they're big fans of the show The Boys, and they're really looking forward to this Vought Rising that's coming out.
Yeah, baby.
He said, and I told him, Pellegrino, and they're freaking out. He says they want to know if they can meet him. And I said, I could probably get him to do a FaceTime. Meeting him's tough. I said, unless you want to go to the American Capitalist Party convention. So we might have some guys going to the American Capitalist Party convention.
Good. However we get him through the door.
Listen, go for Pellegrino, stick around for the capitalism.
Feed the stats and Chickers Fun. Thank you so much, Robert. You're a mensch. I agree with Greg here. Legislation to end all electricity monopolies would be helpful. I can completely concur with that. What is that? Think about that. If you listen to a couple episodes, you will see a genius, Mark. Okay. I will, if I have time, check him out. I am pretty busy, but I'm willing to check out somebody who's funny. And if he takes down the left and the right, Michael and Michael, I don't want to speak for you, but I fucking hate the left and the right. So if he can okay, good. Thank you, Katrin, for that €5 super sticker. If he takes down the left and the right, lampoons them and laughs at them, I believe laughing at evil is fucking healthy. It's great. And if somebody's doing it, the left and the right both need to be lampooned because they frickin' suck. Michael, let's go to somebody infinitely more interesting than anybody on the left and the right. Gouverneur Morris, one of the
No, we're not going to do that just yet.
What?
No, I want to ask you because I'm interested now. I want to know, when you say psychologizing, what do you mean? And what does Chandler mean? Because he says Ayn Rand did a lot of psychologizing. Jim jumped in and says psychology or psychologizing. So I'm curious because I find that when people use psychologizing, it has a different meaning than from what I understand it to mean. What do you mean by it?
I think impugning one's, let's say, life philosophy based on a fractured type of psychology, not like errors in reasoning, but claiming that what you believe in the real world is a reflection of a poor psychology.
All right. So Captain Chandler says it's interpreting people's behavior. Mark, you're closer from my understanding. Now, I have the definitions right over here, but I want to tell you what I think of psychologizing. Psychologizing is either excusing somebody's behavior based on their psychological problems, or damning somebody because of their psychological problems. See, Jim comes in and says it right after.
For psychology per se. Right. Okay.
Right. So it would be the equivalent of saying, well, yeah, Mike Liebowitz did a lot of bad things, but, he was depressed and he had, PTSD or whatever. And the whole point is that you want to judge people based on their actions. You can't know about their subconscious motives and that sort of thing. And those things aren't under somebody's control. You only judge based on what's under their control. So, let me see here. This is from The Psychology of Psychologizing from Ayn Rand. A man's moral character must be judged on the basis of his actions, his statements, and his conscious convictions, not on the basis of inferences about his subconscious. A man is not to be condemned or excused on the grounds of the state of his subconscious. While the racket of philosophizing mystics rested on the claim that man is unable to know the external world, the racket of psychologizing mystics rests on the claim that man is unable to know his own motivation. Yeah, that's what it is. But I do find people tend to think that it means interpreting behavior, but it's really not interpreting behavior.
That's good. I think that's a good distinction to draw. But, Rand could have been a great psychologist in her own right. I mean, and I think she was able to profile people very well based on their actions and beliefs. And maybe that's what they're referring to, too. Maybe Red Bar ties what people say and do to their worldview. He's unintentionally very philosophical. Okay, cool.
Now, Gouverneur Morris, this guy's one of my favorites of all time.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
More so than Robert Morris?
Oh, way better. Okay. Gouverneur Morris was a wicked character. Right? Okay. First of all, this guy's got a peg leg.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Right? That's true.
Secondly, he's having affairs, and I'm not praising him. It's just interesting that he's his founding father. He had affairs with all kinds of women, married, not married.
Really?
It's rumored, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's rumored that he got lost his leg, had nothing to do with a carriage accident like he claimed, but he was actually fleeing a husband. Something to that.
It's the 3 steps, Mister. Give me just 3 steps.
Yes. Leonard
Skinner.
Right. So, I mean, this guy, he was very active during the Revolutionary War in terms of helping to finance the war. He was a party to the Articles of Confederation. Then he was at the Constitutional Convention, spoke more than anybody else, actually penned the preamble, and I think some of the other stuff as well. And he was just adamantly opposed to slavery during the convention, because his thing was, look, the South wants to say that slaves are not people, but then wants to count them under the census. But then they don't want them to be taxed, so they say, well, they're not property. So what he says, look, if they're people, then give them the rights of men. If you're saying that they're property, well, then why isn't other property counted toward the census? Why just this? He did not like the idea of slavery, was adamantly opposed to it. He did not trust the common man. He was not a Democrat. He was a Federalist. But it wasn't that he was opposed to freedom. He just thought that there were better mechanisms by which to secure it. Just in my view, if you can ever read about this guy, read about him. Very fun. Fun guy.
That is interesting.
Teddy Roosevelt wrote a biography of him. That's the biography.
Well, that's scary, though. That's scary that a guy like Teddy Roosevelt, and here I am psychologizing now, but a guy like Teddy Roosevelt liking Gouverneur Morris makes me feel like, what's wrong with this picture? You know what I mean? I mean, he was a Federalist. He believed, didn't he believe in a president for life?
No. A president. He didn't think there should be term limits on the president. That there should be limits.
But because he felt, I think the reasoning for that, which I find sound, is that he would be independent of Congress that way and could check the power of a Congress that was beholden to, let's say, the mob. And so he was always trying to check I think the radical democratic principles that were finding expression overseas in France for sure, and causing a continental war eventually caused a continental war over there. And he was very, very suspicious of democracy. I think any smart person who wants to limit tyranny is suspicious of majority rule in that respect.
He was also an emissary to France.
That's right.
During the French Revolution, the only one out of all in the world that stayed there, right? Not only there, but he's hiding people. This guy, he's something else. This dude.
Didn't he get kicked out? Didn't he finally get recalled or something?
I don't remember what the end of it was. Then
it wouldn't have ended well for a guy like him.
Look, by the time the War of 1812 comes around, he's ready for secession. Like, he thinks the North should secede. The Constitution, which he helped form, he just thinks, look, this whole thing failed. We cannot have, be a party to these guys. But he's one of the first who really wanted to be not a citizen of the several states, but he wanted to be an American citizen. There's also some apocryphal stories. I don't know whether they're true. Probably not, but they're funny. One is that he said to Alexander Hamilton, they're at a bar or a pub, and he says, watch this. And he goes over and he gives George Washington a smack on the back.
Oh, he's the one who did that.
Yeah.
No, I thought that was before the convention, and he touched him on the back. He was the only one with the balls to go up to Washington.
Right, and then he said, I'll never do that again. But an expert on him that I interviewed told me that's probably not true, which was disappointing for me. But there's also the story that I've heard. Again, I don't know if it's true or not. Robert Morris was the governor of Pennsylvania, and Gouverneur Morris worked for him.
That's funny.
So people would go and say, I want to see Gouverneur Morris. And Gouverneur Morris, the man, not the governor, would come. How can I help you?
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I could see him going up to Washington because he was supposed to be a big guy, a man of pretty tall stature. And as John Adams said, one of the reasons they probably elected George Washington to be the head of the Continental Army was because he was always the tallest man in the room, and his stature was very imposing. Well, when you talked about him advocating for secession, that was during the War of 1812 and in the assembled Hartford Convention. And there are some interesting concepts that came out in that convention, Michael. It ended up not working, of course, because by the time they submitted it, the War of 1812 was already negotiated. A peace negotiation had already been done. And Andrew Jackson had already defeated the British in New Orleans. But there are some interesting concepts here because it seemed like, he felt like the federal government had been not keeping up its fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of New England, who were unduly experiencing the worst of the British embargo and the Embargo Act from America to the Brits, and that their economies were collapsing, and that it was unduly giving power to the southern states. They wanted to rescind the 3/5 compromise because, as you said, they thought it was giving a lot of power to the states as they were expanding southward and westward, and of course, which opened up the whole debate about the extension of slavery. So, I mean, he foresaw some difficulties with the pending United States of America that I thought were pretty profound. You're right; he's an interesting guy.
Character.
I didn't think he was as cool as you're making him out to be. So
he had some good one-liners. Like when people would ask him, I don't remember them all, but he was asking him about his leg. Yeah, do you wish you had it or shit like that? But did you just imply that Andrew Jackson won the War of 1812 at the Battle of New Orleans?
I did not, because the peace treaty had already been negotiated 2 weeks prior.
Okay, all right.
But he did, defeat the British there.
No, he won, but I mean, it was already over.
It was meaningless as far as the peace with the Brits went, but he did win, and it was a pretty resounding victory as well. So we can give him credit for that. Any other comments, Michael? We've got 5 minutes, so I guess you have to read the question.
Well,
and,
yesterday's question was, who would you like to see me debate? Evidently, nobody wants to see me debate anybody, because we got one answer from Nicole Hingle, and she says Gunther Eagleman. Nah.
What? Who's Gunther Eagleman? Tell me.
He is the do I want to be crass? Screw it. He is the top presidential nutlicker on the internet.
Is he really?
Oh, he's terrible. Everything this guy does, everything Trump does. Wow, the president. Oh, he's so
my
great.
God.
Yeah, but he's got like 1 million followers. But yeah,
I don't understand. I just don't understand.
Capitalist thought of the day is this. Although Mark and I joke about a lot of the things going on in the world, that doesn't mean these topics are not serious, and very serious indeed. And there's no more serious issue, in my view, than the rights of individuals in this country. And if we ever want to succeed, we need to move back toward the founding generation's idea of individual rights, and then ultimately eclipse it and really define it properly, attach it to a proper moral theory, as has been done by Ayn Rand. Only by doing so can we really make the case for a free society, for a capitalist society. But then we have to actually protect it. We have to stand up for it. We have to fight for it. We cannot let it go. And it's far too important to give away to the Gunther Eaglemans of the world, folks. And that's all I have to say. Mark, you got to ask him a question now.
Yeah, well, it's a political question, folks, so I hope it doesn't turn you off. Please go to YouTube and answer the question. Please remember to like and subscribe to this channel, too, because, of course, we want the ideas of individualism, rational self-interest, and capitalism, free association, and free exchange to be the mainstream again, because it's not. We're fringy right now, and we don't want to be that way. So please like and subscribe, because the algorithm likes it. Do you think President Trump will be impeached before his regime is over? I certainly think the House will bring articles of impeachment. It's highly unlikely the Senate will do anything about it, but I think it's going to happen. What say you? Michael, we've got 23 hours now before the next Capitalist Corner.
Yes, and it's looking more and more like I will be here alone, but never fear, I will still be putting on a show for everybody, and I'm sure it will be fabulous.
Yeah, folks, unfortunately, I have to do a television appearance to promote a movie that I did, and so I'm going to be on Channel 5 in the morning show, I think, tomorrow. If that's not true, I'm getting the schedule as we speak, Michael, so if that's not true, I will be here, but if it is, if I do the show prior to 9 o'clock, maybe I can step in anyway. So, it's all up in the air.
Jim says he shall try.
Thank you, Jim. Remember what Yoda said, there is no try, only do. And folks, with you guys, there's no trying to check your premises. Check your freaking premises. Peace.